have a warning for you. There is an unknown reason that will make even the most faithful Christians accept the mark of the beast, kneel before the devil, look him in the eye and offer their loyalty, their body, and their soul. And this reason is so dangerous and unknown that people are unable to recognize it. Therefore, in this video I will reveal this reason that will lead Christians to accept the mark of the beast and how you can protect yourself from it, and remain faithful to God. Stay with me until the end of this video and I guarantee you that you will be the Christian who, even in the face of the devil, will be strong enough to choose Jesus. Imagine a family man going to work one day and not getting paid because he doesn't have the mark of the beast. Imagine a single mother not being able to buy milk for her newborn baby because she does not have the mark of the beast. Imagine not being able to pay for your food, clothes, water, energy, and any other service necessary for your survival because you do not have the mark of the beast. It seems like a movie scene that will never happen in real life, doesn't it? Well, if that's what you think, I have some sad news to tell you. This scenario will actually be our future, and allow me to be honest with you, it will be a very near future. Most people claim that they would never accept the beast mark willingly. However, what happens when there is an evil and diabolical leader who controls the entire world? Have you ever stopped to think about the following scenario? There will be someone at the door of every market around the world waiting to check if you have a brand, and only then will you be able to buy food? And it's not just the market, it's a gas station, the pharmacy, stores, everything will be controlled by the Antichrist. How will you live? How will that single mother's newborn baby survive? How will the family of that father who didn't receive his salary live? The truth, my friend, is that difficult times await us, and this is the time to roll up our sleeves and prepare. Jesus himself stated, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Are you ready to know the truth? Stay with me until the end of this video and I will show you how the Antichrist will control our world and how we can survive this without accepting the mark. The Antichrist is described as someone extremely charismatic, capable of hypnotizing crowds with his persuasive words. He manages to touch the right points, awaken emotions, and make you believe that he is the answer to all the world's problems. It's kind of like you're being hypnotized, and all you can think is, "This guy is amazing, he has all the answers. He can solve all the problems." It's scary to think how someone would have so much power over people's minds, but that's exactly what makes the Antichrist so dangerous. He not only wins people over with his words, but also manipulates them, making them do things they would never think of doing. To better understand the Antichrist, we can compare him to charismatic leaders in history, such as Adolf Hitler or Napoleon Bonaparte. Just like them, the Antichrist will be able to captivate the masses, promising solutions to the world's problems and offering a seductive vision of power and greatness. So, when you think of the Antichrist, you must imagine a charismatic leader, with the ability to unite nations and peoples under an apparently noble banner, but whose true intentions are dark and diabolical. And how do you recognize him? Because the central and most dangerous point of the Antichrist is that he will be evil, but he will not demonstrate his evil, and you have to be able to recognize him and protect yourself against him. This is the first reason why people will accept the mark of the beast. Imagine that you arrive at the bank tomorrow and the manager looks at you and says, "So, we made some changes to make your life easier." And you are listening carefully, because who doesn't want to make life easier, right? He explains that now your credit and debit card will be a little mark on your finger, a very simple number that won't hurt or attract attention. And with this brand, you won't even need to use your cell phone, just with your finger you'll be able to buy anything you want, plus you'll have discounts and benefits that only people with a lot of money would have. What will you do? If this manager made this proposal and he said, in addition to discounts on all your purchases, the bank will also forget all your debts, including your bill for this month will be reset to zero? What will you do? You realize this all comes down to you recognizing the Antichrist and making a conscious decision. People think that the Antichrist will sit on a throne in the middle of Jerusalem with the horns and symbols of the devil printed on his luxurious and flashy suit, and will say, "So guys, I am the Antichrist, and from today onwards you will have to choose whether you will accept my mark or not." That's not how it's going to work. Of course, I'm not saying that the Antichrist will be your bank manager. But, what I'm telling you is that you have to be able to recognize the signs. And how do you do this? In Hosea 4 verse 6 there is a message that you need to pay close attention to. The verse says the following, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you, so that you will not be a priest before me. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children. Think of this as an important warning from God to his people. He says the people were destroyed because they didn't know enough about him and his teachings. It's like they're stumbling around in the dark, not understanding what they're doing. And there's more. God warns that, if people continue to ignore their knowledge, he will also ignore them. It's as if he said, if you don't care about me, why should I care about you? Imagine that this verse from Hosea is like a safety warning. He says that when people don't know what is right, they end up getting into trouble. It's as if they were driving without knowing the rules of the road. It's dangerous. The bottom line is that it is crucial to know and understand God's ways. Ignoring this can lead us to accept the mark of the beast because we may not be able to recognize even the Antichrist, let alone the mark. So, let's stay alert and always seek to learn more about him and his teachings to live in the best way possible. But how to do this? In this first part, I explained how the Antichrist will be able to make people accept the mark of the beast without even knowing what it is. But if you know that the Antichrist is on earth and that you will have to accept a mark, how do you deal with that? Of course, not a clear and explicit path of what you should do. However, there are countless verses that guide us to make a decision in a situation like this. But before we analyze this verse together, remember to leave a like on video and subscribe to the channel if you trust in God and want to be prepared for these difficult times. Furthermore, leave a comment saying, I trust in God, and affirm your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. In Ephesians 6 verse 12 we read, For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil, in the places heavenly. Here is an introduction to the concept of spiritual warfare. This war that this verse is referring to is not like the normal wars we see out there. We are not fighting against other people, but against bad spiritual forces, like villains from the spiritual world. They are like invisible enemies who want to keep us away from God, and that is basically what will happen when the Antichrist is on earth. It will be a fight between what is right and what is wrong, between good and evil. But this battle will not be with physical weapons, it will be more like a fight of ideas and spiritual influences. The main weapon of spiritual warfare is the spirit of the Antichrist, which is basically a negative influence that opposes Jesus Christ and his teachings of love, truth, and justice. Imagine this as a kind of spiritual counter-hero. While Jesus represents love and salvation, the Antichrist promotes hatred, lies, and injustice. He tries to deceive people, leading them away from God and onto a path of spiritual destruction. The spirit of Antichrist can manifest itself in many ways, such as false doctrines, selfish ideologies, and actions that harm others. He tries to distort the truth and divert people from God's true path. Furthermore, another reason that will make people accept the mark of the beast and give in to the pressure of the Antichrist is the persecution of Christians. Imagine a world where followers of Jesus face unprecedented hostility and oppression simply for their faith. The Antichrist, as a powerful and evil leader, will employ every means possible to suppress the Christian faith and consolidate his own rule. He will promote an anti-Christian agenda, seeking to eliminate any voice that opposes him and his distorted teachings. Christians will be targets of discrimination in all spheres of life, from restrictions on religious freedom to violent persecution and even death because of their faith. Anti-Christian laws will be enacted, and those who refuse to renounce Christ will face imprisonment, torture, and even execution. Persecution will come not only from government authorities, but also from extremist groups and society in general, who will be influenced by anti-Christian propaganda. Christians are marginalized, vilified, and treated as second-class citizens in many parts of the world. In John 15 verse 20 it is written, Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecute me, they will also persecute you. If they keep my word, they will also keep the yours. In this verse it tells us that just as they persecuted Jesus, they will also persecute those who follow him. This means that if we face difficulties because of our faith, we are not alone, we are following in the footsteps of Jesus. In the time of the Antichrist, persecution will be considered something normal. There will be no repudiation of this activity. On the contrary, it will be something encouraged by the diabolical system that will be in force in the world. and how to deal with it. First, we must grasp the lesson that John is trying to teach us in this verse. When we encounter persecution because of our faith, let us remember that we are in good company, alongside Jesus. And it encourages us to remain steadfast in our faith, confident that He will help us overcome every challenge we face. Secondly, look at what is written in Matthew 5 verses 10 to 12. Blessed are those who suffer persecution for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and they falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for in this way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Imagine you are in a competition, and the gold medal goes to those who face persecution for doing what is right, loving justice, and following Jesus. That's right. Jesus says that the kingdom of heaven belongs to these people. This means that even if we face difficulties here on earth, we are guaranteed a special place in heaven alongside God. But the surprise doesn't stop there. Jesus goes on to say that we should be happy when we face insults and persecution because of Him. It's like we're being applauded for doing the right thing, even when it costs us. And that's not all. He promises a great reward in heaven for those who endure persecution with faith and joy. So the next time you face difficulties because of your faith, remember these words of Jesus. You are not alone, and heaven has something wonderful in store for you for remaining firm in your faith, even when the world tries to tear you down. In Revelation 14 verse 12 we also have a message of hope. Here it is written the following. Here is the perseverance of the saints, who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. This verse is like a valuable tip about how the saints, that is, the followers of Jesus, can be strong and faithful even in difficult times. Think of it like this: the word perseverance means not giving up, staying firm even when things are difficult. So, this verse says that one of the most important things to achieve this perseverance is to follow God's commandments, that is, to do what He teaches us, and keep our faith in Jesus. When we do this, we become stronger spiritually and can face anything that comes our way, knowing that God is on our side. To exemplify this, I want to tell a story. Imagine a young man named Maximilian Kolbe, a Polish Franciscan friar, during the horrors of World War II. He was imprisoned in Auschwitz, one of the Nazi regime's most horrific concentration camps. One day, a prisoner tried to escape from the camp, and as punishment, the Nazis chose 10 prisoners to starve to death in a torture cell. Among those chosen was a man who cried desperately, begging not to die because he had a family. At this dramatic moment, Maximilian Kolbe, with impressive courage and unshakable faith, stepped forward and offered to take the place of the man who was afraid of dying. He told the Nazi guards, "I am a priest, let me change places with him. Let him live." Maximilian Kolbe was then placed in the dark, damp cell along with the other 9 prisoners sentenced to death. Even in the face of unbearable suffering from hunger and dehydration, Kolbe maintained his faith and hope, praying and comforting the other prisoners until the end. His heroic sacrifice and perseverance in the face of extreme adversity continue to inspire and move people to this day. Maximilian Kolbe is truly an extraordinary example of love, courage, and unshakable faith in the midst of the deepest darkness. Exciting, isn't it? Allow me to tell you another story. Imagine a man named Saint Francis of Assisi, who lived in Italy during the 13th century. He was the son of a wealthy merchant, but he renounced his wealth and comfortable lifestyle to radically follow Jesus Christ. Saint Francis of Assisi dedicated his life to poverty, simplicity, and service to others, especially those most in need. He founded the Franciscan order, a movement of friars who lived among the poor and sought a life of humility and service. One of the most memorable moments in the life of Saint Francis was when he received the stigmata, that is, the marks of Christ's wounds on the cross, on his own body. This experience was a sign of the deep love and devotion that Saint Francis had for Jesus. Even in the face of various difficulties and opposition, Saint Francis remained firm in his faith and in his mission to live the gospel of Christ. His life of holiness and example of love for others continue to inspire millions of people around the world to this day. Saint Francis of Assisi is truly an extraordinary example of perseverance and fidelity to God, showing how it is possible to live a life of meaning and purpose by following the teachings of Jesus. Difficult challenges. They teach us important lessons, especially when it comes to resisting the Antichrist. When we are faced with a seductive leader like the Antichrist, who tries to divert us from God's path, it is crucial that we keep our faith firm. Just like St. Francis of Assisi and Maximilian Kolbe, we face an intense spiritual struggle, where the forces of evil try to keep us away from the truth. In challenging times like these, we need to hold tight to God's teachings and trust in His guidance. St. Francis chose to live a simple life and serve others, following the example of Jesus. And even in the face of the horror of Auschwitz, Maximilian Kolbe remained faithful to God and sacrificed his life to save a comrade. Although it may be difficult, we must remember that God is always by our side, strengthening us to resist temptations and remain firm in our faith. Our trust in God will guide us through difficulties and give us hope to face any challenge that comes our way. In 1 John 4 verse 4 it is written, "Little children, you are of God, and have overcome them, for greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world." This verse reminds us of a powerful truth: as children of God, we have something incredible within us that helps us overcome anything the world throws at us, including the Antichrist and the mark of the beast. It's like having a superhero inside us. The power of God, which He gives us, is far greater than anything we can face in this world. This means that no matter how scary or powerful the Antichrist seems to be, God's power in us is even greater. So the lesson here is to trust this divine power. Knowing that God is on our side, we can face any challenge with courage and faith. With Him, we are more than capable of resisting evil and remaining steadfast in our faith, even when the world tries to divert us from the right path. Ephesians 6 verses 10 to 11 also has another powerful message. "Finally, my brothers, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the crafty schemes of the devil." Here the Apostle Paul reminds us where we get our strength from: in the Lord. He is like our coach, giving us the energy and courage we need to face any challenge. He also tells us to put on the armor of God. This is like putting on a spiritual protective suit. Each part of this armor, such as the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, and so on, helps us stand firm and secure against the attacks of the enemy. So, the lesson here is to prepare for spiritual battle by putting on the armor of God and trusting in the strength He gives us. With this spiritual armor, we can resist the wiles of the devil, including the temptations of the Antichrist, and remain firm in our faith. So, my brother, when believers who do not prepare and have not sought knowledge are being attacked and falling into the devil's traps, you will be strong because you have learned that you have to be able to recognize the Antichrist, his mark, and resist him when all your strengths. In 1 John 4 verse 4 it is written, "Little children, you are of God, and have overcome them, for greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world." This means that no matter how difficult things may seem, the power of God within us is greater than anything we face. So, the message is simple: trust in the power of God that is within you. With Him by your side, you can face any challenge, including resisting the Antichrist and the mark of the beast. Don't forget, the power of God in you is more than enough to overcome anything the world tries to throw at you. Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. Remember to like, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be notified when we post a new video.